Good evening. I'm Dr. Gus Penix, President of the Nicholas County Board of Education. I'd like to call this the July 19th, 2021 regularly scheduled board meeting to order at this time. Would you please rise and join the board in a silent reflection? Gives us opportunity to reflect on those things for which we have to be thankful, but also to clear our hearts and minds for the business we're going to talk about here tonight. So, a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. Would you please join the board in saluting our country with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Oh, yeah. Next item on our agenda this evening is deals with the approval of minutes of the meetings held on June the 25th, 29th, and July the 6th, 2021. You received those electronically, and whenever you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Mrs. Kaufman moves. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Mr. Berry seconds. Any further discussion relative to those meeting minutes for the meetings held on June the 25th, 29th, and July the 6th? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Madam Secretary, the motion passes unanimously. We have no discussion items for tonight and or presentation. We are up to item 5 on this evening's agenda, which is action items and approval of the MOU with SESC for IT technicians. Mr. Hanshaw.
What you're looking at is the yearly agreement that we do every year for our technicians that we hire. For Buell Moses, Adam, or Mark Hanshaw, and Jet Bales. It just is our agreement with them to allow us to hire them through them. It's a continuation of what we've done for the last 2 years.
Have them what? I'm sorry. Have them what?
We hire them through the SCSC.
What do they do for you?
They're our computer repair technicians.
Paid for out of technology fund.
Paid for it. Yep.
Do they help pay for those? Is that how that works?
No, we kind of just didn't have a real, I guess, place for them in our certified list that we liked them, so it was easier just to have them to go through them.
Run through their
Yep.
operation?
There's no set amount, is there? It's just per job? Is that the way it works or what?
It goes by our pay scale. So, yeah, that's, their salary is, the two make the same per our pay scale. I think I would have to look, there's like $1,000 or two addendum on there, and then Buell Moses just goes by what he was paid by whenever he retired for his daily rate. Buell was contracted for 140 days a year, and the other are contracted for 240 days a year.
Oh, so this is Buell and...
Yeah, it's Buell and Adam and Jet.
Regular work.
Yeah, they're here every day.
Yeah.
They're part of the people that makes the clock tick. We couldn't do it without them.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Hanshaw in regard to the approval of the MOU with the SESC for IT technicians? Hearing none. Item B, approval of the renewal contract with Russell Johnson. Mrs. Atkins.
Yes, this was in your packet. This is the lease that we do with the individual who lives behind Beaver Grade School, and we use his property for Richmond High School band's practice. So this is just a renewal of this lease. There were no changes.
Are there any questions from Mrs. Atkins in regard to this lease, the renewal of this lease contract with Mr. Johnson?
He signed it, so I guess he's okay with it.
Yes,
No changes from last time.
no changes
We
from last
modified
time.
it last time, but
Yeah.
We agreed to mow that, keep it mowed, did we?
he didn't want it.
No, I
No,
don't
I don't
think
think
He
so.
didn't want
He's
it.
not asking for, he's
No.
doing everything.
Well, I didn't see it on there, but I thought we did.
No, I don't think so.
No, he's just doing out of the goodness of his heart. It's just-
We asked him about that last year, and he didn't.
It was just $1 a year.
He said he'd
Yeah.
take care of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been very good.
yeah. I didn't see it mentioned.
Any further questions from Mrs. Atkins in regard to renewal of that contract? Hearing none. Item C, approval of the continued contract with Susan Barrett for math support. Dr. Lee.
Deja vu, once again, it's the renewal of a contract. This is a contract that we've had with Susan the last couple of years, and she provides direct coaching to Cherry River Elementary School, and it's paid for through federal funding. She works with math and mentoring some new teachers, and this year it looks like we could have up to 4 brand new teachers in that building.
Is that I know it said it went from July to June, I believe, 21, 22.
Yes.
62 days, is that what it's for, or is it more than that? Or just that Monday, 50 to Cherry River and 12 to the mentor?
Right, I think it might be 40 to Cherry River. Is that?
I think it says
That's
50.
right here.
It's up to 50 days.
Yes, 50 days for Cherry River and then up to 12 as needed. This year, one of the workshops that she typically does with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we're actually going to be including some teachers from other schools.
So will it be longer than 62 days?
No, that would be the
That'd be-
maximum.
okay.
Yeah. And last year, of course, with COVID, she didn't use near as many as
Yeah.
typically.
And how many new math teachers do we have?
They could have up to 4 new teachers in that building, depending on where people bump and shuffle, but right now.
You're speaking of Cherry River.
This is teachers, not necessarily math teachers.
Right. Well, it would be classroom positions.
So she'll mentor in different subjects, not necessarily math. Is that correct?
Generally, it's math, and she does a lot with classroom management, that's kind of how we got into this, that was the area that when she was coaching there the first year, we discovered that the new teachers were really needing some embedded professional development in their classrooms.
She does an excellent job. I've sat in on many of her classes.
She certainly does.
And she does the other 12 days of mentoring with new teachers, correct?
Right.
Any further questions for Dr. Lee? If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion to approve action items A, B, and C as presented here this evening. Mr. Amick moves. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Mr. Berry seconds. Any further discussion in regard to items A, B, and or C under action items? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Madam Secretary, the motion passes unanimously. We're on item 6 of this evening's agenda, consent items. Mr. Hess.
Pass out some of the last checks we actually just finished printing a few minutes ago. If you want to review those.
Spending on the run.
Spending on the run, yeah. Try and get everybody's paid as quickly as possible. on the agenda is payment of current invoices. If you have any questions with those that I handed out or any of the ones in your packet.
What schools we use the parole officer in, or our officer in the summer?
In the summer, we don't have any during the summer. We were paying some of them for services that was
Last
right, the second half, yes, that's what you're saying there.
Every school have an officer now.
All middle and high schools have an officer.
Kevin,
Yes.
the pea gravel for Somerville,
Mhm.
is that the playground?
Playground, yes.
At one time, they thought the chips was better, and did they, or I know we used those, we put those at Craigslist.
We use a variety of different chips and pea gravel. The chips we actually used to come out of Maryland, where it's just hardwood chips.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any bark in it. It's supposed to be more hygienic. It doesn't rot and
Yeah.
doesn't rot as quickly, doesn't harbor bugs and that kind of stuff as much.
I like gravel better,
Gravel is more expensive, but it
cleaner too.
yeah, eventually it does stay.
It works down
Kids carry it home in their shoes,
there. Yeah.
inside.
I like it, and the dog pens, cause you can spray it with bleach and clean it, you know.
Yeah.
And, you can't do that with wood chip.
No.
Won't work.
Why do we have a contract with physical therapy? It says for May, it's $12,000 a month.
That could be, I don't know that that's just May. I'd have to go back and look.
Oh, okay. What is that?
Physical therapy services,
Is that for like kids or
kids that need
therapy?
those services.
Oh, okay.
Um,
You know, we send them to their homes and they
Oh,
continue with
They
their
go to
services.
homes.
I think that's a requirement, isn't it? That we
Yes.
provide those services. So we don't have anyone, we don't have an employee on
That's
staff,
right.
so we have to contract it out.
And the $12,851 for reimbursement for the high school, what is that for?
It could be, I'd have to go look for sure, but it was probably like athletic supplies or athletic trips. Their allotment, their excess levy allotment, a lot of times they will spend their school money and then they have their money up here that they haven't spent yet. So at the end of the year, they'll just send me one invoice along with all the support. I'll reimburse them out of those accounts.
Contract for Miller and Sons. You'll need to have it signed.
Yep.
Instead of my copy.
What's the 470 for moving buildings at Richwood Middle School, Richwood High School?
We moved, well, wish Rocky was here. We moved one of those buildings.
Is there a vote tech or?
It seems like we moved one to Summersville Middle School, but I could be completely wrong on that.
Did we move any of those buildings up there, Tom?
Yeah, we moved one building recently to our school, and I believe we moved it again to Richwood High School site.
Okay, maybe that was it. I know they had moved some. We had to hire them to move them.
Nothing to do with the pods.
No,
Okay.
no. It was those little storage buildings we have.
User fee to the Army Corps of Engineers.
We were doing a fun run out there, and it was a $75 or something like that. Yeah, it's just a user fee to host an event out there on their property.
Are you going to let us know about that physical therapy whether it's more than May or?
I will, yes.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Write that down.
Well, I think there's services, they don't end at the end of the school year, do they? We have to continue those services throughout the summer and the year.
The physical therapy services.
And a lot of those are home visits, is that correct?
What period?
We have them at home and in school.
Yeah, it's still on there.
There's the extended year program. And, those kids may be involved in the extended year program, which you have to have each year, so.
Yeah, I'll let you know at our next meeting if that's okay, or I'll email it out to each of you tomorrow. That'll be better.
It's probably just how the document probably is for, I would hope more than me, but
Yeah, I almost want to say that's probably 2 months, but
kind of
I
like the
have to
power
go back.
bill or the water bill, you know, just kind of lump them together.
Yeah. Any other questions on payment of current invoices? Next item are contracts. First contract is with Miller and Sons. They have traditionally provided the auctioneer services for us for our public auction. It is a flat fee of $500, and we plan to have that on next Wednesday. So as you know, we've been declaring several things surplus over the last several months, and so our maintenance guys have been gathering that up and be taking that to the Somersville Bus Garage, where we'll post the auction. The next contract is with the Somersville Conference Center, or Somersville Armory, and the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center would like to use it August the 9th and 10th.
What kind of meeting is that, Tom?
It's just gonna be a back-to-school staff retreat, so we can focus on just getting back to simulated workplace, project-based learning, and planning our new 8th grade course for you.
Is that a regular thing? Is that a regular thing?
Yeah, we've been doing them for the last couple of years, minus last year because of COVID.
Next, we have some bids. This was for Richwood High School. Mr. Williams would like to recommend the vending, the snack, water, and juice and soda machines be awarded to Mountain Vending.
That's who usually does that for them, isn't it? Is Mountain Vending the one they usually use?
It varies, but yes, they're used throughout the county every year. Sometimes Coke gets it seems like, especially for the water, of course, the water and the soda machine. Then we have some surplus property. And then finally, student insurance. This is with the Young Group, and I'm requesting that we switch from Markel, which is who we've used traditionally, but they're getting out of the student insurance business, and so I polled the state, and this Young Group is dominantly, of everyone that responded, the majority of them have used this are using this company, and so comparing the rates to Markel, they're very competitive. It's completely voluntary. The students may elect to have accidental insurance or not. They're required to have it if they play any sports, if they do not have other health care coverage.
And this is per year.
Per year, yes.
Those rates are one time?
One time.
Okay.
Once a year. And there's a low rate and a high rate, and then different options, whether it's at school or just football or
24-hour at school.
yeah.
That's the same coverage, basically, that we were.
Yeah, pretty much identical.
Is that dental, just like if they get hurt their teeth?
Mhm.
So, Kevin, this, if an athlete provides proof of insurance, they do not have to buy this.
Right.
And this is only, and the students who do not have insurance have to buy this. Athletic students, I should say, participating in athletics.
Right. It's underwritten by Mutual of Omaha, so that's a strong company. So I feel real good about it. And so I'd like to ask the board to approve them as our student insurance vendor for the year.
Is this what we've used in the past?
No, they went out of business. They quit offering student insurance this past year. And so, like I say, I polled the state to see who most of everyone else used, and this was overwhelmingly the strongest vendor used across the state.
Any further questions? We've had all the finance items presented. Any further questions from Mr. Hess? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent item A as presented.
I make that motion.
Mr. Berry moves. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Mrs. Kaufman seconds. Any further discussion in regard to consent item A, finances? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Madam Secretary, the motion passes unanimously.
Don't make a habit of that.
Mrs. Atkins, Madam Superintendent, members of the board, is there a need for an executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters?
I don't have it, no.
Okay. Mrs. Atkins?
Yes, you have before you the updated personnel agenda. The changes are in red. I've made a list available to the public, but I will read over them. Under professional, we struck the positions of biology teacher at Nicholas County High School, 5th grade teacher at Cherry River, 3rd grade at Cherry River, social studies teacher at Nicholas County High School, special education teacher at Richwood High School, math position at Richwood High School, 3rd grade teacher at Glade Creek, 3rd grade teacher at Panther Creek, social studies at Richwood Middle, and the elementary school principal at Birch River. All of those will be reposted except for the principal's position at Birch River. We had some certified applicants, and so we'll be conducting some interviews, and we'll have a hire for that position shortly. We did list hires for the special education teacher at Nicholas County High School, effective upon release by Fayette County Schools and WVD approval, and that's Lindsay Sanson. Christina Phillips, employing the position of kindergarten teacher at Summersville Elementary School, effective with the start of the 21-22 school year. Colton Willis, employing the position of 5th grade teacher at Summersville Elementary School, effective with the start of the 21-22 school year. And Terry Jenkins, employee in the position of pre-K teacher at Summersville Elementary School, effective with the start of the 21-22 school year. Under service, Kendall Stearns, to employ in the position of halftime cook 1 at Summersville Middle School, effective upon the start of the 21-22 school year. Carolyn Carper, employing the position of custodian 3 at Nicholas County High School, effective with the start of the 21-22 school year. Debbie Mullins, employing the position of secretary 3, accountant 3 at Nicholas County High School, effective upon hire of her replacement. Under professional extracurricular, Melissa Cole, employing the position of instructional design specialist at Richwood Middle School, effective at the direction of the federal programs director. We removed the design specialist at Summersville Middle School, the teacher facilitator, a specialist at Summersville Middle School. For the teacher facilitator specialist at Richwood Middle School, Latricia Kincaid and Frances Price. Darcy Miles, employing the position of head volleyball coach for Summersville Middle School, effective upon completion of any applicable WVDE, WVSSAC requirements. And we struck the temporary support staff for football for Nicholas County High School, the assistant girls basketball coach for Richwood Middle School. Hillary Odell, employing the position of head cheer coach for Richwood Middle School, effective upon completion of any applicable WVDE, WVSSAC requirements. Struck the position of athletic trainer for Nicholas County High School. We had no certified applicants. Under consent, there was one change. Derek Silman resigns his position as head basketball coach for Richwood Middle School and assistant football coach with Richwood High School effective July 9th, 2021. On page 4, you have a leave request from an employee. I will not read that aloud to protect the employee's privacy.
Will these under consent items, will they be posted next time? Is that the way that works?
Yes.
Just briefly, the instructional design positions that are noted there, what does that entail?
That's a partnership that we formed 2 school years previous, or a school year and a half with SRED. They have one of their specialists providing training and ongoing coaching with middle schools based on their math curriculum. We got started into that before, we got almost 1 semester in, and then COVID hit, so everything got put on hold, and now we're just picking back up with that.
And they will continue with their regular instructional position?
Yes.
But they will also now be a...
There's online training, and when they complete the online training, so there's a specialist and facilitators. The facilitators are conducting the lessons in their classroom along with the specialist, but then the specialist will come and observe, provide feedback, and help them with their unit design plan.
Thank you. Any further questions in regard to personnel matters?
What kind of a degree does that require?
Math,
Have to be a certified math teacher.
certified math teacher employee in a middle school grade.
Are there...
Did the Silver employee give a reason for resigning? I know normally we don't ask that, but
He's starting a master's program and just wasn't going to have time to conduct his classes and coach at the same time.
Makes
So
sense.
he's keeping his teaching position. He's just going to give up the coaching positions for now.
yeah.
Madam Secretary, there's only 2 sections of notice that we just had, minutes we had to sign.
Yes.
Previously.
Yes.
Any further questions from Mrs. Atkins in regard to personnel? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve personnel as presented this evening.
So moved.
Mr. Amick moves. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Mr. Berry seconds. Any further discussion in regard to the personnel agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Madam Secretary, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. Atkins. Item 8 on this evening's agenda, superintendent's information.
The permit I did forward to the board members today. We did receive a permit we've been waiting on at Glade Creek. So I'm in hopes, waiting to hear back from the architect that we can get a bid package ready to present to the board. I'm hopeful this week for your action so that we can start actually moving some earth out at Glade Creek. Cherry River, I know that they're progressing. They have 1 plot out, maybe 2, and I know that they've been continuing to dismantle the pods from the walkways, and apparently they're waiting on some tires is what I'm being told. But the pods will soon be moved out. So things are progressing. And of course, we have the work session scheduled for the 22nd. And at that time, the architect will have plans brought for everyone to review.
That permit that we got, was that just for the initial acreage? That wasn't for all of it, was it? It was like 82 acres. That-
It's for whatever amount of the disturbance, so
Yeah, it wasn't for all of it. I don't know the acreage.
I,
I didn't think
Maybe
it was for all of
77
it.
or
So,
77.
like where we were gonna store the dirt on the
Yeah.
other property.
right,
haven't
we
heard
can't
anything
store,
from
no,
that.
we can't store anything outside of that original acreage at this point,
So that this permit today was just for the original acreage.
yes.
Did I not hear correctly? We meet Thursday, right? Thursday?
Thursday
Yes.
the 27th.
Thursday, okay, I misunderstood.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Yeah.
Okay.
Been out to the site at Cherry River campus. The parking lot is nice. The guardrails are nice. You know, the street, of course, I showed pictures last time, so it's a nice area. I've had some, received some compliments on it. So we're moving along. We're progressing.
Any further questions for the superintendent?
This is not pertaining to construction, but I see you have buses throughout the county looking for bus drivers. Years ago, when I talked to a couple applicants, they couldn't pass the test because they couldn't read well enough. Now, I know we have a lot of people out there that have skills where they can drive like crazy and all of that. Would it be possible before applicants are given a test that Rocky or someone he appoints to maybe give classes? Would that help? in
We do
recruitment?
that.
They do, I was gonna say. I thought-
We do that now.
Okay. All right, my second question, what about, or is this double dipping, a custodian, if we're this hard up for bus drivers, and I know it's statewide, could a custodian, if they so choose, if they come in, if they're on a split shift where they could possibly drive?
We actually have people doing that now.
They
We have
could
some
take
posted
an
positions.
extracurricular contract. They could, code prevents them from holding more than one full-time position. So they couldn't be a regular bus driver, but they could, and some do, I believe, have like extracurricular contracts. So they can take like a VOTEC run or an activity bus run, that sort of thing.
Can you get on the substitute list
Yes,
for bus driver?
yeah.
So that, is that helping?
I mean, we're hard up for bus drivers, but we're not the only county. I mean, that's a statewide problem.
I know.
How many
Yeah.
bus drivers are we needing?
Well, I think we have all our full-time positions filled. It's a matter of covering like
Enough
the,
subs.
like not having enough subs, and then your extracurricular trips, like especially in the fall, you've got like band and football and soccer and volleyball and all that. You've got to have enough buses to run those runs, and I think that's the difficulty. And having substitutes. I know lots of days, Rocky, the transportation director, is driving a bus because we don't have enough drivers.
He cut some busing positions though this year.
We cut positions, but every driver maintained a position because we're at such a shortage of them.
He has cut some of the runs.
Right.
I know we got one in Berkshire.
42 maybe. But
Right.
I mean, it is a challenge. It's a statewide challenge, so in any brainstorming ideas you have, I mean, we'll definitely consider.
Well, everything I thought of, you're
Well,
already doing.
Yeah, we have some bus drivers right now who have contracted to do, you know, maintenance type things also. So, it's a challenge and, you know, it's a huge responsibility, hauling that many kids. So bus drivers have a pretty tough job with just considering the responsibility, people who like to have some flexibility, it's a good job. Some of our drivers only drive an hour or two a day, and they get paid for a full shift, you know? And they can work jobs in the private sector between their runs. So I think a lot do it for insurance and things like that.
Where we taught in Virginia, and that's a different world, but they had a high school vocational program that taught bus drivers, and those high school students drove the buses. So, kind of hard to think about, but
Did they do that in North Carolina, or they did?
South Carolina too.
You know, we actually looked into that a couple of years ago, and I don't remember the results. I know that if we, you know, typically if you have a CDL program for students, you also have to have a diesel mechanic program, a diesel program to help keep up with the maintenance. Now, if it's bus driving, maybe our regular maintenance can keep it up. And I really can't remember the results, but one of you all had mentioned that before, and we looked into it, and I don't remember the details, but we can look at it again.
yeah, it may have changed it. Everybody's short.
I just don't remember.
I think it was age, so I don't think you can have like 16-year-olds working for a CDL.
It had to be your adults, it had to be 18 to do it, but
Yeah, I think I mentioned that.
I think so, because we had looked at trying to do some of the preliminary steps to help get them prepared, but it wasn't a statewide approved program, you know, so we weren't going to get the financial support for it. That was one of the things I know of.
And it might be just West Virginia driving regulations, which, you know, we wouldn't have any control over. So if the DMV, the state legislature said you have to be a certain age to try for a CDL license, we don't really have control over that.
Is there any teachers at their schools on a different schedule that would pertain to? I'm just throwing that out.
We used to have that. Like, when we were in high school, we had some teachers driving, at least one, I know, Sarah Richwood. Jim.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
When I will run some of that by Rocky.
And Sheriff Johnson used to do that. Did he drive some? Of course, he coached like in Jones.
Yeah.
I just pulled the West Virginia CDL requirements, and you have to be at least 18 years old and have 2 years of driving experience to obtain a CDL.
Well, I just wondered, yeah, if they could get that in 2 years of training, and then when they turned 18, they could drive maybe their senior year drive.
Yeah.
That may be what they were doing, I don't know.
One driver expressed concern at the top of Legion Street. He said there's trees that are making it impossible to see to the left. And of course there are log trucks through there and all kinds of traffic for the school. Could we check into that and see whose property it's on? Hopefully it'll be city property. And maybe they can trim that so they can see a little better.
Okay, top of Legion Street.
Yeah, top of Legion, when the buses are coming up over the top of Legion.
We were needing a bus driver, like when they picked up kids, was it out towards Strange Creek or somewhere? I wonder if we find anybody for that, like in Berkshire.
All the contracted
Yeah,
position.
contract position. I thought it was in there, but I didn't see it today.
I'm not sure.
Are there any further questions for the superintendent in regard to her information?
At the old high school lot, there's a flagpole. And someone mentioned that flag etiquette says that if that flag stays on all night, there's supposed to be a light to that. It's supposed to be lighted. And they expressed an interest in obtaining that flagpole if it's available. Are we gonna leave it there? What are we gonna do?
Is that when the walking trail is?
Yeah, we're gonna have a walking trail, that will be in that area. I know that if we have our flagpoles and things, if there's something that we're not going to be using, we would have to put it out on bid, auction it off,
Auction.
or something like that. Again, that's something I'll ask Rocky to look at
Okay.
and see. So it just doesn't have a light, is that what you're saying? It's not
Right,
lit?
right, it's not like.
Do we have a flag on it?
Flags left up all the time.
Oh. Okay.
Is that our flight?
Who's maintaining the flag?
I don't know.
Is the city main?
Yeah, is the flag being maintained, do you know?
I'm not sure, I'll find out.
I wouldn't think we'd be putting a flag up here.
Not unless someone put it up and left it, I don't
Somebody
All
know.
right, unless it's been there,
6 years.
I'll check it out,
Okay, and it's at the old Ridgewood High School site?
yes.
I would assume that would be in the floodway then.
Depending on where it is at that site, possibly, quite possibly.
Always out
And
front.
if it is, I mean, we can't
Somewhere out
really
front.
get in there and do anything. Best thing's just pull the flag down and,
Walk.
If we put it out there now.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, as Dr. Penix was asking, if it's in the floodway, depending on where the flagpole is, I mean, it would be something we wouldn't want to disturb or touch or anything if it's, it just depends. But I will look on it, I'll check it.
I will too, okay.
Any further questions for the superintendent? Madam Superintendent, thank you.
I want to ask her one thing. Are all the summer schools, camps, is that open now, or is it still ongoing? How's
I
that
think
going?
it's the 22nd, isn't it?
Some, soul programs have wrapped up. The 3 larger elementary schools, 4 larger elementary schools will have a program through the 30th. And then Mrs. Cooper is still working with some of the students that are backtracking and working with the AA program with Glenville.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Reports, item 9 on this evening's agenda. The SESC does not meet until this Wednesday, so there's no report at this time. Bright Horizons, Mrs. Kaufman.
I did attend the meeting last week. It was just a normal meeting. Actually, the chairman wasn't there, so it was kind of just going over financials and nothing really to report.
Thank you. Item 10, Madam Secretary, any delegations?
No, sir.
Item 11, thank you. Item 11, any items for future agendas? Mrs. Lee, or Dr. Lee, can we possibly have a little presentation on those programs, the various programs at the next board meeting in August, and any pictures and things that kind of show us what's going on with those programs and what they were about?
They've done some amazing things this summer.
I appreciate that little presentation. Thank you very much. Any other items for future agendas? All right, item 12, future meeting dates. Remember, we have a work session this Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, the 22nd, here at the board office. Okay, maybe we'll take it. Right. Okay, then also, West Virginia School Boards Association, the fall conference is September the 10th and 11th, and it'll begin on the 10th at 1 o'clock or noon or 1 o'clock in Charleston, and it'll run through noon on Saturday, like it's normally been in the past, except for last year we didn't have it. So I believe you'll be able to get all of your 7 credit hours at this one meeting, should you choose to stay for all 7 events. They're going to assume regular meetings like we've had in the past.
That's September 9 to 11.
10 and 11.
September the 10th and 11th.
Okay.
Okay, now, are we required to attend
Yes.
Well, you have to get 7 hours, so this,
Can we go on the 10th and not the 11th?
You can if you
You
don't
could-
have to
you
have
could.
all the hours.
and you may only be able to get 3 or 4 hours that day, but then you'd have to go to another session. There's another one in November, generally it's held at Lane Springs, and you can get 3 or 4 hours there. And then we have regional meetings in the spring of the year, where you can pick up an hour or two. So you can get your hours, but you can go Saturday and not be there, or you can go Friday and not be there Saturday, or go Saturday and not be there Friday. It's what you choose, but it's good to go to that first one at some point in time.
It's
You didn't
usually a
get to
little
go
more
last year.
informative.
It's very informative topics, but also there's a lot of networking with the other 270 members of the organization, so.
Okay, will we be getting more information on this so that we?
Yes, I haven't received it yet, but as soon as I get it from Shirley, I'll get it to you, and I'll
Okay.
get
Okay.
everybody registered, but I'll need to know who's going.
The reason I knew about it is we just had the executive committee meeting this Saturday in Morgantown, so that's why Kim doesn't know about it yet. We just found out the dates on Saturday. And also this year, there will be a training where you will have to keep track of your hours electronically, and the executive secretary will have access to help us out with that and making sure that we keep our hours. But we'll be doing that electronically. They're down to just the 2 of them, of course, at the School Boards Association, and just overwhelmed with trying to keep up. It's 275 members and their training hours all year long. So we will be doing it individually and electronically starting in September, and we will be trained at that meeting on how to do it. So, and Kim will be trained.
Okay.
Really, it's best just to go get them over with.
Get them up front.
Well,
Tied up.
10th, you want?
I'm booked on Saturday somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think that they're not going to be doing virtual, are they, this fall, like they did last year? So you'll have to go attend the meeting.
Their meeting, yeah, you have to go and attend the meetings. But again, there's a variety of meetings. You don't have to get them all there. Now, on Friday, there are sessions, like there's 2 sessions in the afternoon, like 1 and 3 o'clock, and then there's a 7 o'clock session. And then there's like 3 sessions next morning, so you can probably get 4 hours. Okay. All right, then we have regular scheduled meetings on August the 2nd and 16th, and then go ahead and set your calendars for the regular meetings in September, the 7th and 20th.
So school starts the 19th, the teachers start back on August the 16th, is that right?
Yes.
Great.
Board members, any board members who's, I've meant to say this also, if your term is up next June the 30th, you have to have your 7 hours prior to December the 31st. Just remember that. Okay. Anything else?
I was talking to a friend who teaches. They were up in Ohio, in Amish country last week. She said, she was asking the parent up there, an Amish parent, said, how are your students in school, how they do? They said, overall, they're real good, but occasionally have problems. And she said, well, what do you do with those problems? And she said, we send them to public school. Makes me feel good.
That's what a lot of it is.
Sadly true, sadly true.
Of course, you can flip that around.
Well-
Public school, some of private school.
Well, I believe I can successfully announce that we've had the shortest meeting we've had in 4 or 5 years. So, having no other business to conduct, is there a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
Did we do that bending? Did I miss that on 3A? The bending?
Yes.
I missed it?
No, we did it,
It
Kevin.
was what Kevin and I were talking about.
Mountain Bending?
Mountain bending.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ridgewood High School.
We did okay there?
Yeah.
It's Richwood High School, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Richwood High School.
Yeah.
Okay. I
I'm
got
gonna do all the snacks, water, soda.
All righty, and that contract is generally selected by the principal, is that correct?
It is, they put it out for bid and review the commission rates for each one and then make a recommendation to the board.
Thank you, sir. Any other business? All those, excuse me, is there a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting? Mrs. Kaufman moves, is there a second? Mr. Amick, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Madam Secretary, we're adjourned at 5:51 PM.